I told you I'd be back. I told you. Here I am. Let's get into this video. A New Hope. The first time George Lucas blessed our mortal souls with the originally titled Star Wars. This film would go on to spawn 5 main story sequels, 3 not-so-loved prequels, and 2 Star Wars spin-off films, all of which don't include a butt-ton of TV shows and video games. Today, good viewers, the Film Form channel has tasked me, JPLee, to do an honest review of this legend of a film. Now, I will admit I remember this film through nostalgia glasses. It has spawned a franchise I have followed my entire life. So I think the first thing to do in this instance is watch the film again. So, watching that film was difficult. Not because I thought it was bad, but I cannot for the life of me forget the other films that surround the franchise. The moment I meet Alec Guinness's character, my brain instantly shouts,
"That's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi."
All of that aside, as a singular film, how does it stack up? Well, for a start, the world building that happens within A New Hope is, well, world class. The scenes in which we follow the adventures of R2 and C-3PO at the start of the film gives us a perfect entry into the universe. I would like you to bear in mind that a film with this epic fantasy scope had never been executed before, and that a big portion of why George Lucas's vision came to life was because of the revolutionary work done at ILM, the visual effects studio. From the very get-go, the visuals on this film stand out. A large golden chatterbox, followed by a waddling blue trash can, became one of, if not the most recognisable robots in the entire world. The planet of Tatooine, a lived-in wasteland with a backstory of its own, and the Jawa being the first aliens we meet. Interacting with the most human characters we can see, with ease. It takes all of the elements of the space opera that the audience may take time to adjust to, and serves it to you like you've been ingesting it your entire life. A New Hope is a masterclass of good and evil storytelling. The written tropes of bad guy versus good guy, and there being a mentor, are cemented into this film, but they are executed perfectly. Now, these are the obvious good things about the film. There are some things I'd like to talk about which aren't so great, like the pacing. This film is slow. It takes a long time to get to where we need to be, and it isn't always progressing the story. We spend a lot of time just walking with characters such as C-3PO, who is the only person who has dialogue in a very long scene, because R2 can't speak. Talking of dialogue, the dialogue in this film is, well, very weird. There's not a lot of realism to the dialogue, but that's okay because we're in space and we're looking at civilizations that will have never been seen on screen before. These are all George Lucas's children in his mind. He has created these races and these beings and these people who look human, but they don't have to act human, right? Like, there is a real doubt in my mind that if they were supposed to be human, that the writers would have got away with what they did, especially with dialogue. But there is a scene after Obi-Wan is killed. Luke once again spends quite a few, seconds inconsolable, but then he's laughing and cheering as he's taking out the TIE fighters in the Millennium Falcon. It's a sort of flip, and I understand we need to progress the story, but the character doesn't seem to have sort of gone through the grief process that you would have thought he would. Princess Leia is not only tortured off screen, but she also has to witness her entire planet being blown to pieces. She loses not only her adoptive parents, or the parents that she thought were real at the time, but the world she would call home, and her own people. She was a princess there. The one point of power that she thought she had is just completely wiped away. And she is just like Luke. I guess because they're relatives, right? She isn't going to waste any time grieving or, having to deal with the loss of these fictional characters, she's going to crack jokes and get on with the people who are coming to rescue her and being feisty and cynical and we have no time for sorrows. It's sort of jarring. I think the characters of Luke and Leia definitely deal with grief very badly in this film, and it is sort of an error that you can look past when you watch it. But from a filmmaking point of view, it is something that annoys me. But that's it. That's the thing for me. It's the dialogue, it's the pacing, and it's the characters. But if we look at the soul of what was achieved with the very first Star Wars movie, this is improved upon later. Empire will have this in buckets of real grief and things like that. What we're seeing here is the basis of building blocks. If we look at it like Lego, this is the child placing down the foundation, so George Lucas can now build what we know today as the Star Wars franchise, a multi-billion-dollar franchise and intellectual property that is still being built on today. So, I'm going to leave you with that, the positives and the negatives. The positives definitely are going to outweigh the negatives. In the case of A New Hope, it is the start of everything. But if you want to go toward the end of everything, something that we aren't covering during this Star Wars crossover that I reckon you guys should definitely go watch is The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian Season 2 has just started dropping in America and Season 1 is out everywhere. So everyone, go stream The Mandalorian, it is great. That's all the time that I have here today on Film Form. It has been a wild ride, as it always is. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to collaborate with all you fantastic filmmakers from the fan film community. I appreciate you all, and I love your content. Thank you, Nathan, Morgan, and Sam for having me on the Film Form channel again. You know, I might pop back up again. But for now, guys, this is goodbye, and I will see you later.